Good afternoon. Welcome to this WFSB News exclusive on WFSB Plus. We're talking about a museum that houses what are known to be some of the most haunted items in the world. And it's just been bought by a world famous comedian, Matt Rife, and his good friend and influencer, Elton Castee, who have purchased the home of Lorraine and Ed Warren and the Occult Museum in Monroe. They plan to create overnight stays and visits. So if this is your kind of thing, you might be able to go learn about the Annabelle doll up close and personal, if you dare. Elton is here now. Elton, thank you so much for joining me. We were talking in prep. I've been to the museum. I had the chance when Lorraine was alive to interview her. And she was a very devout woman, and she made sure that I was blessed before I went in there. She really believed in that. I mean, are you nervous at all about being around all this stuff?
I don't think so, because I've spent more time in the house than I think a lot of people realize. Like I was there 3.5, 4 years ago and got to learn a lot firsthand from Tony, Wade, Chris, Dan, everyone involved with Nesper, to how to protect yourself when you're in there, and then pairing that with my beliefs personally. I feel as though I am safe. I've lived in the museum for 5 straight days. I slept on the floor of the museum for a 24/7 charity live stream where we raised like $500,000 for Feeding America.
Oh my
Literally
gosh.
doing things for good in the room filled with evil items, and somehow I came out unscathed. So I feel personally and spiritually that I am okay because I've learned everything that I've been taught and retained it on how to make sure I am safe when I'm in the home and the museum.
I mean, why did you decide that you wanted to own this piece of paranormal history?
I'll be honest, I didn't really decide. Like the way the universe shaped up, it somehow happened. I love the paranormal field. I love going to haunted locations, especially those with history. That's my favorite place. An old insane asylum, an old prison, castles, anything that has like true history that kind of helps shape the way the world has worked. And this is the holy grail. This is the Mecca. This is the pinnacle of modern day paranormal culture, is the Warrens' home. And when Dan texted me back in April, being like, "Hey man, do you want to buy a house?" And I was like, I don't know what house you're talking about. And then I immediately called Matt, and it's such an honor and a privilege to have even been considered for it. And now the fact that it's a reality is just incredible.
So, Matt Rife, obviously a comedian, you're an influencer. The internet has been alive all over about this. Oh my gosh, they're going to own the Annabelle doll. And I just want to back up because the Annabelle doll, of course, has been featured in so many things. Lorraine Warren was featured in Amityville Horror, The Conjuring, all of those. Tony Spera, who was Lorraine Warren's son-in-law, married to their daughter, was talking about that, you know, they're also devout, and they really believe that these are evil items. But when you ask him why, do you want to show these to the world? He said the Warrens believed you show people that evil exists because they know it's real, and it also helps them focus on the good and the light. That was really part of their whole worldview, their life view. Is there something bigger at play for you guys to own this sort of thing? Do you believe in the same types of beliefs that they do?
Yeah, our only goal is an extension of Ed and Lorraine's work. I don't think as many people realize that in the movies they're teaching lectures, but that's what they did. They taught lectures at college campuses. They hosted events in their house where they educated people on the paranormal. They did show the museum to educate people on the items and the power within them and the negativity, and of course, how to protect yourself from that. I mean, during my time in the basement cleaning out and kind of going through all the items, I found that Ed had self-exorcism, like rituals that he would give to people so that way they could protect themselves. So our entire plan here is to continue that same work of educating people on the paranormal, on the good and the bad, also encouraging people to experience and have interest in the paranormal, whether it's ghost hunting or learning how to, and just all of those things of that nature. So our beliefs and our goals are directly aligned with theirs, and with Tony and Judy and Nesper and everyone else. And that's really what this is about. And I'm just excited to have a part of that in any capacity.
So Dan, who's been here to Channel 3 many times, and he handled the Annabelle doll, in the various locations around the world when they took these artifacts on tour. He sadly passed away unexpectedly, young, in his mid-50s. Not that long ago. I know he was very good friends with Tony Spera. I spoke to Tony this morning, and he just wanted to reiterate, I know what the internet think the man who handles the Annabelle doll has passed away, but nobody in your world believes that that had anything to do with him passing away. He died of natural causes.
Correct. That's exactly it.
Just putting the internet
wants
to rest.
Precisely. The internet wants to misconstrue things and make headlines where headlines are due. And yeah, he passed away of natural causes. He was a friend of mine. I've known him for the last 4.5 years. He was monumental, if not the sole reason why this happened with me and owning the house. I mean, we were on daily phone calls, Zoom calls, discussing ideas, how to do things properly, the legacy, the future museum that we're looking to open. He was a part of this entire thing, and I had the privilege of meeting like his wife and one of his sons just the other day, and they are also just incredible people. And not only are Ed and Lorraine's legacy now a part of my responsibility to maintain forward, but Dan's as well.
So how will the public be able to take part? You envision that people will stay overnight, maybe even around the occult objects as you have done.
Yeah, so the main thing that has been slightly misconstrued, and just to have like super extreme clarity on all of this, is that the house itself, which is the property in Monroe, is going to be available, we're hoping by the end of October, for overnight stays, short-term rentals, where people who book the house out for the entire evening will get to stay there. The maximum capacity will be 8 people. There'll be a lot of rules and regulations in place for security and spiritual and protections and things like that. And those people who stay overnight will have access to the museum that is connected to the house. It's all on one property. So only those people will be allowed to sleep in the home, shower in the home, eat breakfast, eat dinner, investigate in the basement and some of the other rooms, and have an allotted amount of time inside the museum with all of the items. Those are the only people permissible to go into the property. It will never be available for public tours. It'll never be available for on-site visits. None of that is going to be possible. The only way that happens is if we open up a commercial property in a different location that is zoned for public tours and things of that nature.
Right, and that was where they kind of ran into the snag, because it's just, if you've been there, it's in a neighborhood. Monroe didn't want it to be a huge museum that hundreds of people would be coming to or waiting out, because you can imagine that would be just down the road from wherever you live. So this is going to be more like an Airbnb type thing, where you'll be able to go on and book and stay for a weekend. And I also know that you want to be respectful in that this is, there are some rules when you're staying with these things. I know Tony has said, like, they're not going to allow seances or things like that. They have some spiritual rules if you're going to be around these objects or staying and learning about this. More educational, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. There's going to be rules in place as far as like no parties, and only registered guests are allowed in. But then there's also going to be spiritual rules as well, which we're kind of crafting right now as we go. I'm kind of the guinea pig, because literally the basement for the last 9 years had been just filled floor to ceiling. So we're starting to understand the house and the spirituality and the hauntings of the home. So that's all stuff that we're kind of curating over the next few months as we prepare to get it open to the public.
Do you believe that the home is still haunted and what people will experience?
Yes, zero hesitation, yes. Prior to even my first visit there, I would wholeheartedly believe that this is probably has to be the most haunted, room in the entire world. And that was just the museum, and how much volume is there and variety is there as far as the items in the place. Every single time I've been in there, there's something that's happening that like we cannot explain or have never encountered before. And I'm also the person in my group and in the paranormal field that's very heavily skeptic, where I will try and figure out what's causing it. And now that I've been in this house for hours and hours, days and days in pure silence and know what sounds are made and aren't. Every time you start to investigate and start to kind of connect yourself spiritually or anything in the paranormal realm, things start happening that I'm like, I don't understand how this is happening. And it's every single time. And we've only kind of gotten to the tip of the iceberg as far as the museum and now the tunnel and now the basement. And there's still more rooms in other areas. So there's a lot to uncover here, but I'm looking forward to turning this into like the ultimate paranormal research center where everyone can have their collection of paranormal evidence and we see what happens across different groups and further documenting proof of the paranormal.
So more than just going out where we've seen in other cities, you go on a ghost tour, you are going to be involving in the future perhaps some EMF devices, things like that to kind of test and understand.
Yeah, well, I have prepared, it's already there in the house. I have already prepared like the ultimate paranormal investigation kit. I mean, one of my I don't know, I guess concerns sometimes when I've gone to locations is like I show up with my equipment, but I know not everyone has it. I've been fortunate enough to be able to buy these items throughout our, kind of career of making YouTube videos. So to have a full intensive kit of every type of paranormal tool you could ever want in the home when you show up with instructions on how to use it. I'll even be providing cameras like night vision cameras, other smaller cameras. We're even going to have someone that will help them kind of offload all of that data. I really want to make sure that when people come here, whether they have never used a ghost tool in their life or they have 50 years of experience, there's something there that they can use, as well as because we own the home, we can kind of build these larger ghost tools that we couldn't travel through TSA with, but we can build them and leave them permanently in the house for people to use. So I don't just want people to show up and yes, they have the history and they have the film history and they have Ed and Lorraine's history and they have the haunted items, but we're also going to give them all the tools they can need to have the ultimate paranormal investigation experience.
Oh my gosh. So what is the weirdest, strangest experience you've had in the home or the museum?
Okay, we were just investigating in the museum 2 nights ago. And again, I've spent so much time in there in pure silence, like cleaning. And this is one of the few things where like we none of us could figure it out, but we had just the loudest, just like boom, 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 like someone stomping, running, and it sounded like it was, a foot over our heads, even though the ceiling is 8 feet. It was like the weirdest thing, and that's like probably just the most recent, which is why it's in my head. But we've had the room shake. I mean, we've had incredible like EVP responses, like it's just an unbelievable amount that happens there. And with so many items, I mean, I could probably spend 100 days straight in there and still not run out of something new to try and document.
So give people an idea of the beliefs about what you do if you're going to go around those items. What's the procedure you go through to, as Lorraine would say, protect yourself?
So that's honestly something I'm not going to pretend to have the answer to right now. And it's something that we are still trying to craft because of the Airbnb thing. Right, we can't have staff there the entire night. So these are things that we're trying to figure out. If we're going to create like a manual, if we're going to create like a toolkit and a procedure
But I mean, like
list.
you personally, give me an idea. Like before you go sitting there for 5 days, I remember she did some things. She blessed me. But what are some things that you personally do when you're around the Annabelle doll?
For me, it's confidence. For me, it's confidence in the fact that what Ed and Lorraine and Tony and Judy and Dan and Chris have all made to construct around Annabelle, that it works. And because I wholeheartedly believe that it works, to me, I feel as though I'm safe. So that's for me personally where I am. Of course, they give me holy water and I bless myself before I go in as well. And I will imagine myself being surrounded by the white light as well. So I'm doing all the steps, but ultimately for me personally, I believe that Annabelle is confound to that box that she has been in for the last few decades.
Well, yeah, we have to let the viewers know she doesn't come out of the box.
No, they have opened the door once in a while because that allows that communication gap to happen or to be eliminated. But Annabelle stays in that box, even when she is being transported to the tour stops that they've been doing. Stays in the box.
So just to be clear, Annabelle's one of the items you would be around, and what would be some of the others if you decide to make this a stay at the Warren Home and Museum?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. There's a piano from the Stratford house. There's a conjuring mirror. There's the satanic altar that was found in the Sandy Hook woods decades ago. There's the dinosaur from the Devil Made Me Do It case, which is The Conjuring 3. There's the shadow doll in there, which I personally believe is on par with Annabelle. The shadow doll, we believe, took down all of the internet in Monroe during our charity stream, and a bunch of our cameras have malfunctioned. I mean, there's so much more in there than even I realized, because I had to do inventory, and that's how I know there's 750 items. We had to document every single little thing. And I think there's a lot of items still even in cupboards that we haven't found yet. Um, but there is an abnormal amount, even things from cultist items and Necronomicon kind of books. It's just endless what's in there.
And I know people at home are gonna be like, and that doesn't scare you? You want to be around all this stuff?
I think that's why it's perfect that I'm like the person. Because, like, imagine if I was terrified to go into my own house, like, nothing would ever get done. It would be filled with spider webs.
I mean, will you
That's
actually
why
live
it's like,
there, or will you just keep this as a place for Airbnbs?
no, so I'm like I said, I've been sleeping there the last few nights. I mean, I just came back home to go on our honeymoon, or sorry, anniversary.
Congratulations.
So like I've been sleeping there. I enjoy it. We plan to hold Mondays open so I can still be there on Mondays and things of that nature. But no, I'm not just like opening up to strangers and leaving. I would never put people in a predicament that I wouldn't put myself in first.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm like tandem skydiving with everyone. You know,
This would
I'm
be a
strapped onto
guided-
their back and.
This will be, if you end up going, this would be more of a guided paranormal experience.
So so essentially they would get checked in by a host instead of just having a keypad, checked in by a ghost who would give them the rules of the house and have them sign a physical and spiritual liability waiver, who would allow them to like have that. That way they're checked in, they know where everything is. That host leaves because it is their home for the night, so we're not allowed to have staff in the home with them. And then if they want to go into the museum to investigate, that's where essentially the same way if you were to rent an Airbnb and have a pool and you want a lifeguard to be there during the pool use, they have to have a spiritual lifeguard in the museum with them. So for that a set amount of time that they want to investigate the museum, one of the trusted members of either Nesper or someone that we trust will be there with them for that section only. And then after that, the house is theirs on their own.
So where do people go to book a reservation? Is it up yet?
It's not up yet just because we're still working on parking, fencing, security, but the website that is active right now is hauntedwarrenhouse.com.
Okay.
And then that's where we kind of list when we hope September 5th we'll have online bookings available. But we're still working to make sure that everything nut and bolt is perfectly aligned with everything the town of Monroe wants to make sure that we have, and everything, of course, that we want to make sure we have, such as security measures and things of that nature.
Okay, last thing before I let you go. When I talked to Lorraine Warren years ago when she was still alive, she told me the worst case that she ever investigated was Amityville Horror, that affected them, the Amityville house on Long Island, that everyone maybe has seen the movies, is still afraid of the windows. That she thought affected them for a long time, and she did a lot of healing work around that. Very devout woman, very Catholic. So was her family. Ed being the only lay person that was ever authorized to do exorcisms by the church at that time, maybe ever. But as I feel like you guys are modern folk, bringing this out in this age of the internet and Instagram, like things that maybe the Warrens hadn't imagined. I mean, you just said you were raising so much money just on TikTok for good causes by incorporating this. What's your understanding, just in case it's a new generation listening, like what's your understanding of the Annabelle doll and maybe anything else that people are really curious about? They know, they've heard of it, but they're not really sure the stories because it's been around so long.
Yeah, I mean, I firmly believe that the Annabelle doll is the vessel or the home of a demonic entity, arguably one of the most powerful. And that's what's interesting about the modern day kind of internet and the new age, is that we have seen these coincidences of Annabelle being in Texas and storms breaking out, and driving through Louisiana and plantations burning and prisoners breaking out, and being in Pennsylvania and 911 phone lines going down. So we have seen all these very strange coincidences, things that have only happened like once in the last decade that are happening simultaneously. So my understanding is precisely that. And that's where I hope that over time, not only just solely focusing on Annabelle, but the other items in the museum, that we can continue to document more evidence and more kind of conclusionary reasoning behind these items to learn more about them. And the same way Tony and Judy and Ed and Lorraine have said about educating people on these items and what they're capable of, that's your best protection from them as well.
All right, lastly, what does one pack to sleep over in a haunted house?
Well, if I'm excruciatingly good at my job, you really shouldn't have to pack anything other than maybe a pair of underwear, an extra one, because we're going to be providing everything. We're trying to make sure this is absolutely top to bottom, where you can literally show up with no ghost hunting equipment, no cameras, just an open mind and a really strong sense of resisting the urge to run out of the house. But that's what we're hoping for. You can just show up. The beds will be there. You'll have sheets. You'll have your shampoo and your conditioner. Even going to try and work with like the local restaurants to have meals catered to people, so they don't even have to waste time trying to order food. I want to make sure that when they get there, they just get to focus on that experience in the house, and we'll have breakfast for them in the morning and dinner delivered to them at night, and just, you know, have fun sleeping in the world's most haunted house.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your time with us and for letting us know. And I hope you'll come back when it's open. Maybe we can have you on Great Day, Connecticut, or come down. I'll take a tour if we can next time after I haven't been there since Lorraine showed me. So.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'm not just like turning the keys and walking away. I'm going to be back and forth there pretty much every other week for at least the rest of the year and probably for the next few years.
Interesting. So before you go, maybe people want to watch Amityville Horror, maybe they watch The Conjuring, they want to watch all these shows and have a good idea of all the work of Lorraine and Ed Warren. And bring your skepticism, or as you said, and if you're really terrified, just bring some extra clothes. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Elton. I really appreciate you being with us, and we will get this out to the world, and good luck with everything.
Thank you. Hopefully we don't need it.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
All right, of course.